Thank you to each of you who engaged in my last video, the one I sent out a couple of days ago. It was called The Real Reason You Struggle to Trust Yourself and what you can do about it, and how important it is I believe how important it is for us to start to get connected to our true selves. If you're somebody who struggles to trust your own inner guidance, maybe you get to the moment of impact, you get to the moment where you need to make a decision and you just continue to have this habit of making the decision that's safe rather than making the decision that you know is going to help your life get to the next level. If you're somebody that finds yourself overwhelmed by the inner critic or inner critics in your mind, and those inner critics cause you to doubt yourself, they cause you to be afraid and to hold back and to dim your shine and to play small. If that sounds like you, then I'm with you. You're not alone. I've been there. In fact, I'm still growing out of those patterns even now. I spent a lot of my life listening to the inner critic, listening to the fears, listening to the limiting beliefs, listening to the inhibitions, and holding myself back and suffering as a result. And so in the last video, I talked about the real reason you struggle to trust yourself and what you can do instead. And in this video, I'm going to help you understand how you became your false identity, how you became your character, and how you can become your true, authentic, higher self instead. How you can let go of the masks and the identities that you created to fit into the world. How you can let go of the persona, of the character, of the false identity, and allow your true self to come through. Now, before I even get into that, if you're one of those people that says, yeah, but you don't know what I've been through, you don't know the traumas I've been through, you don't know the challenges I've faced in my life, I want to tell you that when I discovered what I'm going to share with you, everything changed. Because before I discovered this, I was just kind of roaming around in the dark, trying to find my way. I didn't know what I was even pointing at. Yeah, I was doing the work. I was working with psychologists. I was working with coaches. I was meditating. I was practicing affirmations. I was visualizing, but there was still something that wasn't working for me. Something was still holding me back. When I discovered what I'm going to share with you here, it changed everything, because then I had a map. Then I had something to focus on. Then I had a place to look for answers. And that's what I'm going to share with you here. So again, by studying this material, by practicing what I'm sharing with you, you get to let go of that false person you became so you can become who you really are. And what that means is not only do I change, but my family and friends change and my world changes. I don't know if you believe this, but the ancient alchemists and Kabbalists and ancient mystics and magicians and shamans, even many of the modern day magicians, mystics, and shamans say, as within, so without. And what that means to me is that my internal world, my beliefs, my emotions, my thoughts, they create my external world. My internal world creates my external world. As within, so without. If I want to change my external world, I only need to change myself. I only need to change what I'm carrying inside. And what I'm going to share with you here is exactly how that system works for you and how you can change it. So what I have here is a diagram. This is a diagram, a very simple diagram of your fifth dimensional nature. Now, you may have heard New Age spiritualists say, we're fifth dimensional beings, we're fifth dimensional beings. A lot of times in my life, I heard that and I was like, what does that even mean though? What does it even mean? Is it even something that's rooted in any type of history? Is it rooted in scripture? Is it rooted in science? Is it rooted in any ancient spiritual systems? And it turns out it is, actually. And so what you see here is the pentagram symbol. This symbol is associated with the 5 classical elements: fire, air, water, earth, and ether. Everything in the entire universe can be broken down into these 5 very simple elements: fire, air, water, earth, and ether. You may have heard the 4 states of matter: plasma, liquid, solid, and gas. Well, plasma is associated with the element fire. Gas is associated with the element air. Liquid is associated with the element water. Earth is associated with the element earth and physical matter. And space is associated with the element ether. So everything in the entire universe is associated with these 5 elements. And you, as a human being, are also associated with those 5 elements. Because right here we have your spiritual dimension. This is your fire element. We have your emotional dimension. This is your water element. We have your mental dimension. This is your air element. We have your physical dimension. This is your earth element. And then we have your consciousness. This is your ether element. And so the idea is that those elements out there are related to the elements in here. As within, so without. The ancient sages teach us that our external world is a reflection of our internal world. As within, so without. To change my world out there, I have to change my world in here. Again, I'd like you to imagine that we're playing a highly advanced virtual reality simulation or video game right now. This is my bio supercomputer. It's made of the 5 elements, and my game world is made of the 5 elements. As within, so without. My external world is like a holographic projection that I'm creating from my bio supercomputer. My bio supercomputer is like the projector that projects my reality, which I then see on the screen, which is the ether element, and it manifests as the 4 states of matter: plasma, liquid, solid, and gas. And so in order to change that outside world, I don't have to go out and force things to change and try to manipulate the world and try to change other people and try to change the governments and religious and education systems. I don't have to do that. I can change myself. I can change the programming that exists inside of my dimensions. So you can imagine these 5 dimensions like operating systems in your computer. If you were to install unhealthy programs inside of your computer, like viruses, then your computer's not going to act the way that you want it to act. It's not going to behave at its full potential. Your computer's going to start to do random things. Maybe random screens will open, or programs will open, or the computer just won't turn on at all. If your computer is full of programs or viruses that hold your computer back, then your computer's not going to operate at its highest potential. We work the same way. And so these are your 5 dimensions: your spiritual, emotional, mental, physical, and ethereal or consciousness dimension. Your programming from all of the experiences you ever have in life is analyzed and stored inside of these dimensions. So for example, in your spiritual dimension, well, here's your fears. If you have a fear that you're not worthy, a fear that you're not good enough, if you have a phobia of animals or a phobia of getting sick or a phobia of heights, that's all formed inside of your spiritual body. In your emotional body, we have your emotions, your pain and your pleasure. So if you've got shame from the past, guilt from the past, regret, embarrassment, grief, maybe you lost somebody really important to you, maybe you've lost many people really important to you. If those emotions aren't properly processed, so in other words, if you're not able to express those emotions in a safe place, if you're not able to understand those emotions and let those emotions go, if you're not able to express yourself to somebody that's willing to listen to you unconditionally and compassionately, then your emotions get stuck in here. They get stuck in that emotional body and they start to become toxic. This is your mental body. This is where your beliefs, your thoughts, your words, and your habits are formed. This is your neurological patterning. This is your logical part of your brain. This is the emotional part of your being, and this is the logical part of your being. This is more like the creative, imaginative part of your being, and this is the reasoning, the intellect, the logical part of your brain. So this is where you store your habits. This is where you store your beliefs. This is how you form your language patterns. So if you're somebody that says, I'm broke, I'm sick, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I can't do it, it's too much, it's all coming from here. It's all coming from your mental body. This is where your mental programming is stored. Then we have your physical body, and this is pretty obvious, but maybe not so obvious. This is where our toxins are formed. This is where tension and chronic pain and health or lack of health is stored inside of our body. And so our physical dimension is, the earth element is a manifestation of fire, water, and air. So the earth element is the manifestation of all the other elements. The health of your physical body is going to be determined by your spiritual health. The health of your physical body is going to be determined by your emotional health, and it's going to be determined by your mental health. So your body is really the body of all these 5, the dimension of all 5 of these that takes the most amount of damage. Because when the other elements are out of balance, then this element is out of balance too. And then finally we have your consciousness. This is your ethereal body. This is your fundamental true self beneath the programming that exists in these other elements. The ethereal consciousness exists in either a state of duality, where you think that there are evil tyrants trying to control the world and that you're helpless and there's nothing you can do, or unity consciousness, where you recognize that you are everything in your experience of reality. And so to change from a duality to a unity consciousness, from an inauthentic self to an authentic self, I have to clean the programming in these lower 4 bodies. Let me say that again. In order to live in a unity consciousness, what I call heaven on earth or ascension or the fifth dimension or paradise or utopia or whatever you want to call it, in order to live in that realm, I have to clean the programming, the fears, the pain, the beliefs, and the toxins and tension in my lower dimensions so that my higher dimension can become clean and clear as well. You can imagine that the denser my programming, so the more pain I have, the more limiting beliefs, the more fears, the more tension, the more toxins I put in my body, the more junk that I put in my body, the more I'm living down here as my inauthentic self. But as I begin to clean and correct my dimensions, as I begin to clean and correct my bodies, I start to raise to my authentic self, my true self, which I tell myself is actually coming from here, not from down here. So this symbol sometimes represents spirit over matter. The top one representing spirit, and then these 4 elements here representing the material elements. So if I was to turn this symbol upside down, it would be the opposite. It would be matter over spirit, and that's the duality reality. See how there's 2 points pointing at the top? This symbol represents duality. This is the realm of your inauthentic self. But when I turn it upside down and I have 1 point pointing up, this is the realm of spirit, or I might say truth over ignorance, or spirit over matter. So to keep it simple, when you're living as your authentic self, you're living in a reality of duality. You're living in a reality of suffering. You're experiencing chronic pain, chronic separation in your relationships, chronic drama, chronic scarcity, chronic poverty, chronic whatever, anything that's causing you suffering over and over and over again is from here. It's your inauthentic self. But as you clean and correct your core programming, as you change your limiting beliefs, as you forgive the people who have harmed you, as you ask forgiveness from those who have harmed you, as you or ask forgiveness from those you have harmed, as you heal your relationships with your family, as you develop new empowering skills, as you develop a relationship with a higher power, etc., 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 as you exercise more, as you eat healthier, then you start to rise to the realm of your authentic self. And then what happens is, as these elements become cleaned and corrected, then the elements out there in your world become cleaned and corrected too, and you start to become one with everything. You become one with everything. You're no longer living in separation between you and your outside world. You're living as one with your outside world, because when I find harmony in my internal world, when my mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical bodies are in harmony with one another, then my external world starts to display and demonstrate harmony as well. When I become one with everything inside of me, then my world becomes one with me. This is the secret, my friends. This is the very simple secret to transforming ourselves. So in the next video, I'm going to be sharing with you the 5 simple disciplines, 5 simple practices that I've discovered exist in nearly every spiritual system on the planet. These 5 simple practices can change everything, and it's something you can do every day. You don't need any more money. Some people say, I don't have the time or money to do this work. It's like, let me tell you, if you're suffering, you're already spending time and money on your problems. If you're experiencing a life that's less than what you want, chances are you're already spending money on things that distract you. You're spending money on junk food. You're spending money on drugs and alcohol or television or movies or whatever. If you're not living the life you really want, you're already losing opportunities for more finances, losing opportunities for more time. People say, I don't have the time and money to do this work. It's like, well, you don't have the time and money to not do this work. You don't have enough resources available to you to not do this work if you want the life that you really want. And the other thing I hear is it's too complicated. The work is just too complicated. And that's why, again, in the next video, I'm going to share with you the 5 simple disciplines that can transform these parts of you, these elements, rapidly. You don't even need anything to do them. You don't need money. You don't need resources. You don't even need a phone or a computer to do these things. You can do them all by yourself. They're that powerful. And they've been around for thousands of years. We see them in all sorts of spiritual practices. Chances are you already practice some of these 5 disciplines. Chances are you're already practicing some of these things in your life. All I'm going to do is help you understand how they associate to these dimensions of your body. And I'm going to help you understand maybe some of the other disciplines that you haven't started practicing yet. So thank you all so much for watching this video. I'm so grateful that you're here, that you're learning this work, because I tell myself that this is the secret that's going to change the world. When enough of us recognize that we are creating this world, whether we like it or not, we're co-creating this reality. And so when enough of us say, okay, that's it. I'm going to stop waiting for someone else to save me. I'm going to stop pointing the fingers to everyone else and saying, it's your fault, it's your fault, it's your fault. I'm going to start just maybe being curious and saying, well, what if I'm living in some kind of virtual reality simulation? What if this whole world is actually my reality? What if I'm the one creating everything in my life, not just in my immediate life, not just in my own being, but in my family, in my friendship circle, in my community, in my world, in my universe? What if I'm creating it all? What if it's all coming from me? And if so, how can I change it? How can I change it for the better? How can I encourage it to become more in harmony? How can I find oneness in myself and then share that oneness with others? Thank you again for watching, everyone. I would love to hear from you. How did this material land? Please let me know in the comment section below. If you like this video, please like it. Please share it with somebody you think could benefit. If you receive this as an email to my email list, please send me an email, respond to the email I sent you. Let me know, how does this material land for you? Are you finding value? And do you have questions? Because if you have other questions, some of you said, well, what do I do if I don't have time and money? Well, again, this stuff can be done without it. What if it's too complicated? Well, we're going to simplify it for you. So keep the questions coming. If you have more questions, please respond to this email or post them in the comment section. I would love to get to them soon. So again, watch out in the next couple of days. I'm going to be sharing a video for the 5 simple disciplines you can use to rapidly raise your consciousness, to unbecome your false identity, to unbecome your inauthentic self, and create a world that's authentic to you by living as your true, authentic, higher self. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll see you very soon.